Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah, a Canadian that's been living in Croatia now for 11 years, and I wanted to do a fun video today about the challenges that I had and mistakes that I made while trying to learn the language. So if you're like me and you moved to a new country, maybe Croatia, maybe not, and you moved as an adult to a new country and you're trying to learn the language, it's not easy, and I know that firsthand. When I first visited Croatia many years ago, I had no idea how to even properly say hello or goodbye. Now I can carry on a pretty fluent conversation about most topics. So let's get right to the video now, just telling you some mistakes not to make while you're trying to learn Croatian or really any other language. These tips work for them all. Don't focus on just the grammar. If you just focus on the grammar, you'll get so tied up in all of the grammar rules, all of the cases, all of the everything complicated Croatian grammar related. So don't focus on the grammar. And I know that's probably against so many schools of thought about learning a language, but I really don't recommend it, because I know that when I first started and I was just learning grammar, I just felt really frustrated. It just felt like I was filled with rules and I wouldn't be able to follow these grammar rules. And so what I did was I just focused on vocabulary. I said enough with grammar for now. Later I'll focus on grammar. But when you're getting started, my advice is just to learn as many words and as much vocabulary as possible. Because once you start learning words, you'll be able to recognize words when people are speaking, when you're watching TV or listening to the radio. Once you learn a word, you'll start to hear it all the time. And so the more words you know, the more you'll understand what's going on around you, the better you'll feel here. And I just think that that's the best way to go about it. Grammar will come, and you can definitely focus on grammar afterwards, but at the beginning, learn words. Don't just get so caught up in grammar that you forget the actual point of learning a language, which is to be able to communicate with people in that country. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Honestly, this is just like the biggest rule that you should follow, is don't be scared to make mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes and you're going to sound like a crazy foreigner, because you are a foreigner and you won't know the language perfectly right away. So you're definitely going to make mistakes. So throw that fear out the window, because really once you stop caring about making mistakes, you'll actually free your mind to start speaking without worrying how you sound. I know I made a million mistakes, and I still make mistakes every single day when speaking Croatian with my grammar. I remember one time when I was first learning Croatian, somebody came with a new haircut, somebody I knew, and I said, "Oh, I love your haircut." That's what I wanted to say. And what I really said was, "Wow, I love your body hair." In Croatian, dlaka is body hair, but in the dictionary it just said hair, it didn't say body hair. And kosa or frizura is like your head hair. Kosa is head hair, and then if you go to the salon and get your hair done, it's frizura. So I chose dlaka. I thought that was the word for, like, you know, you get your hair done. Nice dlaka. Wow, great dlaka. It was weird, but that's okay. I moved past it, and from that, I learned the difference between dlaka, kosa, and frizura. And so with every mistake, you'll definitely learn. So just don't be scared of making mistakes, and don't be scared of sounding silly, because it will happen, and that's just all part of learning a language. So have fun with it. Laugh off your mistakes and just don't take it too seriously. And I also just want to mention that if you're trying to speak Croatian, people are going to be so thrilled. Local people here are going to be so happy that you're putting in the effort to learn Croatian that no one cares if you have mistakes. Don't ignore the subtitles when you're watching TV. In Croatia, it's great because they play a lot of English-speaking movies and TV series, and they don't dub it. Everything is shown in the local language that it's filmed in, and then they just have subtitles underneath. So nothing is dubbed, which I really love. And it's such a great learning opportunity, because if you're watching something in English, don't forget to read along as much as you can. At first, you may not be able to because it will be too quick, but eventually you'll be able to keep up, and you'll learn new vocabulary that way, because you're listening to what's going on, and at the same time, you're connecting with the words that are written in Croatian. So it's just a really great tool if you're sitting there watching TV anyway, put something on where you can read the Croatian subtitles. Or like in Netflix, I think you can put Croatian subtitles on anything. So subtitles, don't underestimate subtitles. They're really great, honestly. And they really helped me not only learn vocabulary, but also you can just kind of piece together some grammar rules. It's a great tool and a great learning opportunity. So if you're watching something, put the Croatian subtitles on, or whatever language you're learning, and it will really, really help. Don't give in to English. And so what I mean by this is that when you're trying to learn Croatian, or maybe if you're in another country learning another language, this might happen to you as well. But I found that when I would go up and try to practice my newly learned Croatian vocabulary, I would sound very, very foreign. And people would recognize that right away, that I wasn't a native Croatian speaker. And so they would automatically switch to English to make it easier for me, which was very, very, very nice of them. But I didn't want them to, because I wanted to practice this Croatian that I had been learning. So my advice is don't switch to English when they try to switch to English, because they will try to switch to English. You'll see. Say, ne, moram vježbati. I have to practice. So stick to Croatian, tell them you're practicing and that you want to get better. And they'll also really appreciate that too, that you're putting in the effort to learn Croatian. Don't stick to your own regular playlist from home. Listen to local music when you come to a new country. If you're in Croatia, listen to some local bands, and songs are a really great way of learning more vocabulary and more grammar. So don't stick to your own music. Venture out, even if the local music isn't maybe your style. Just try it out, because really with the patterns of the song and the repetitiveness, you'll find yourself singing along just with the verses. Because they're pretty catchy in whatever language. And you'll start to pick up a lot of stuff just by listening to music. So don't skip local music. Give local music a try, and I think that you'll really benefit from it. Don't expect it to happen overnight or in a couple weeks or months, because I made that mistake and I thought that I would be fluent in Croatian just like that. It took me a really long time. I didn't study every single day for 8 hours, and I'm sure if I did that, it would have been a faster process. But it took me a couple years to really get to feel comfortable speaking to anyone on the street or at the store, just being able to have these conversations with people in Croatian where I could fully understand what they were saying and reply in a comprehensible sentence. And so it took me a good while, but that doesn't mean that it has to take you a couple years. You could definitely do it in a shorter amount of time if you really, really try, but just don't expect it to happen overnight. Learning a language as an adult is not easy. It's definitely not easy. So be patient, stick with it, and don't give up. Just don't give up. It will come. There were so many times where I was like, ugh, I'm not learning anything. Like, I haven't improved at all. And then like the next day I'll have a conversation with someone and that went like really smooth and really easy. And so you'll kind of go through plateaus where you don't feel like you're learning much, but you really are, because if you're surrounded by the language, it's going in your head even if you don't even realize that it's going in your head. Give yourself time and don't expect it to happen like that. But you will get there. Believe in yourself, have patience, and you will be super. So those are my tips for what not to do when learning Croatian or really any other language. If you have some other good ones, put them down in the comments below. And thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.